I just want to thank our sponsors for today, and today's sponsor is Tech, the Executive Connection. I've been associated with Tech for many years. I've been both a member and a facilitator, a Tech chair. Tech is all about better decisions and better leaders. I think from my experience, the leadership and the learnings and the experience of the leaders of these groups have made a very big difference, a huge difference in my business life. And I think that if you contact them on www.tech.com.au, you can connect with Tech, the organisation, and I think it would be in your interests. So thank you, Tech.
Jeff, John, what a great show. Look, quite often I was listening to you two talk then and about the management and being able to step outside of a business, and we often hear about systemizing businesses, but it just seems to be a word that a lot of people banter around, but you are working progressively towards this. Could you give any hints or advice or guidance to someone now that says, hey, maybe if someone helped me, these are the steps I could take to systemize my business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in our case, we actually brought in a consultant whose entire role is systemisation. And it was really interesting to go through, basically from one end of the business, every single thing that goes on, and just come up with a written document that details how it ought to be done. It's a little like a ISO accreditation, but less formal. But I just found it so amazing, and I brought in a lot of changes within the business through that process.
Wow.
So I found it invaluable, and it's ongoing.
It interests you to say that. John, as an advisor to families in business, are there particular things that are different for them when systemising their business over, say, just a corporatised business?
Families in business will definitely do things differently, and from each other. I'm not saying in the corporate world, a lot of things are systemised anyhow. But I suppose from a family business point of view, to systemise things is more about what they're doing. It's not. So if they're a trading business, buying and selling, we can put a process behind that. From a service-orientated business where it might be selling time, again, we can put some sort of process behind that. But when meetings are required and those discussions are required, even to some degree, we can have agendas structured in such a way, minute keeping and bookkeeping and ideas put in diaries so that we can keep track of things. So there is systemising to a large degree that we can do in all of that.
And Jeff, you said you brought in an outside consultant to help you systemise. Did the staff at your business participate in contributing to getting that process up and running?
Look, in a sense, I'm actually quite lucky within our business that I have done basically every role in the business. I've been I've been
a trait of a family business?
Oh, it is. So I've been the guy that puts stock on the shelf. I've been the delivery driver. I've done the accounts. I've done the wages. I've done the super. I've done basically everything. And obviously, as the next generation that was doing the process, I could mould the process to how I particularly wanted it done. I can imagine that in businesses where there are sort of two generations that are working concurrently, there could be some dramas with, whose way is the best.
Isn't Dad always right?
Dad or Mum. Yeah, one of them's right. So, yeah, look, I was pretty fortunate within that process, but it's working quite well.
When you're running your business, you're going to systemize it. Do you put a board in place where any of your employees can contribute ideas to that? How do you get the ideas from the employees now to make sure the business is still innovative? Because you're quite an innovative business.
Look, we've recently instituted a system to meet with the staff quarterly, just to touch base on what's working, what's not working, what would you change, what can we do better, what can you do better. So that was we've only done it a couple of times, but the feedback that we've gotten has been invaluable.
How does it feel like for yourself? Is it difficult? Is it a challenging place to sit in?
Oh, the first time was I had no idea what was going to come back. Like it could have been quite terrible, and that was my fear. But it was a really I was actually quite touched at the feedback that we got. It was really
That
helpful.
kind of thing to me means that there's a level of respect already in the business, so that those members of staff that were able to join you on that first quarterly meeting, they actually were very positive in their perspective of what the meeting was for, what it was about. So your trepidation was, I've never been in this position to have the conversation, but the work that you had done working with these people that have been with you for such a long time obviously had put them in a frame of mind that this was not going to be confrontational or argumentative. It was going to be a coalition, so to speak, working together.
Yeah, and look, it was such a positive experience. I'd recommend it to
I was going to say,
everyone.
would you recommend it? Any hints and tips for someone who's got the same foreboding as you, going, I'd like to do it, but I'm a bit nervous?
I mean, look, I think the worst case scenario is it can be as bad as you think, but chances are it probably won't be. So, it's just fear.
Have a go.
Yeah.
John, when you work with families in business and they're going through these steps, I mean, Jeff's done it very progressively here, are you able to help people get over that fear and put some structure so the outcomes are going to be positive for the business?
Generally, I like to work through these changes with the individuals or those families. So we actually stop and we make a plan, okay? Because without the plan, everything can go pear-shaped. The planning, the strategy behind it, everybody being on the same page so we all know what we're trying to achieve. In a family business, it's critical that everybody understands and wants to go on the journey together. If somebody doesn't like the idea, then hang on, how do we make sure that we can get them on board before we go and have these meetings with staff that can go pear-shaped because somebody doesn't like somebody else in the room, and that might be the simple worst case scenario that can come about.
Yeah. And just staying on this thing, I just think it's fascinating. There's lots of companies now, we're going through rapid changes, and yours is a very innovative company, and you've made changes yourself. How do you keep the innovation going? How do you make sure that you are going to be there for the next generation?
Look, for me personally, it's I think John hit the nail on the head. I'm very interested about broadening my knowledge and just hearing the best people in the world on a subject speak, and that that's something that can be done so easily with the internet. But I really like heading to events and hearing people speak in person, and even if I only take away one nugget of gold from that interaction, then that's something I didn't have at the start of that day. So for me, it's just about being curious.
Can I ask you, do you impart that to staff, encourage them to be curious, encourage them to attend events or to further their education in the fields that they're in?
Look, that within our industry, there's only a limited amount of sort of industry-specific training that they can be involved in. But we've started the process in terms of upskilling the staff, just with management and interpersonal relations and that sort of stuff. But that's something that we're probably lagging a little bit behind on. But it's something that we're aware of.
It's good you're aware of it. I like the one you said then, the interpersonal relationships, because everyone getting on and be able to cooperate is obviously the glue that holds a business together. Where does that come? Are you using outside consultants for that, or is it books you're bringing in, or is it your own personal knowledge and skills that you're starting to encourage people in?
Yeah, look, it's partially the men's work that I do. That's it's a lot about speaking in I statements and speaking of feelings and examining sort of motivations that people have for their behaviour, and I find that incredibly helpful when sitting down with a staff member and saying, look, mate, this behaviour is out of character. Is there something going on? Is everything okay? And it's pastoral care, but I think it really it moves into a sort of different realm from there if it's applied in a business sense.
Yeah, John.
It's really not easy for a lot of people to do what Jeff does.
No.
Jeff is quite unique. He has a skill, and he recognises the skill that he has in being able to communicate with the people that he works with. In fact, in general, Jeff is a great communicator. I have had a lot to do with Jeff outside of this little interview, and I find him really a positive thinker and a person who communicates very well with most people. Having said that, not everybody in a family business is able to communicate at the same level that Jeff does. And in those cases, the education of staff needs to be looked at and addressed relative to the business and the business owners and the operators.
Yeah.
So it's very specific. I would be very careful about sitting somebody down and saying, well, you're out of character and So I hear what you're saying, but I think here's something that you're good at and it works in your business.
Yep.
Somebody else might need some support and some other skills.
Or an outside practitioner.
Yeah.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Look, I really appreciate your time and staying back after this for a chat. I want to throw a bit of a curveball at you. We've got two experts in the room now, two specialists in business. Someone watching now may just be going through a struggle in their business, and it doesn't matter what it is, they just feel a bit of overwhelm. Both you a piece of advice or guidance to maybe help them break through that, or where to go or what to do?
Look, I'm actually quite amazed at how much support there actually is around when I look for it. So, in business it could be, someone that does a similar business to you in another state, or, someone that mentored, that particular person when they were starting out in the business, or, even just speaking to family or extended family. I find there's always someone that has the key piece that I need to, move forward. So I appreciate that for men, and particularly Australian men, it's always hard to A, speak about feelings, or B, ask for help. But I personally have found that to be the key for myself in just moving forward in the business. Is I don't know everything, and I know that I don't know everything, and I need to find out. So that's what I recommend.
That question prompted something in me from some years ago, where at a particular point in time I felt quite stuck, and in conversation with another person, this friend said to me one word, and that word is momentum. If you're standing still and you feel you can't move forward, take one step. With that one step, you get a forward momentum. It may be a question to somebody close. It may be just getting up out of your chair if it's such a heavy weight that you're carrying. And just by making that first move leads you into the next move. So with a little bit of momentum, you can actually gain a little bit more and start to spread the questions wider than maybe someone at home. that little bit further. So similar to your vein of finding out from other people, but I think it even goes back deeper than that. Some people just find it hard to even get up out of their chair to ask the question. So if you just think of that word momentum and take the first step,
Wonderful.
that would be mine.
Fantastic. Look, I really do appreciate your time. Jeff, someone interested in contacting you, maybe finding more about Men's Group or even about the business, and they just want to find, what's the best place for them to go?
Probably just send me a message on LinkedIn or through the company website. So I dare say we'll put that in the...
You might as well read it out now.
Oh yeah, it's Filter Supplies WA.
And just by making that first move leads you into the next move. So with a little bit of momentum, you can actually gain a little bit more and start to spread the questions wider than maybe someone at home, that little bit further. So similar to your vein of finding out from other people, but I think it even goes back deeper than that. Some people just find it hard to even get up out of their chair to ask the question. So if you just think of that word momentum and take the first step,
Wonderful.
that would be mine.
Fantastic. Look, I really do appreciate your time. Jeff, someone interested in contacting you, maybe finding more about Men's Group or even about the business, and they just want to find, what's the best place for them to go?
Probably just send me a message on LinkedIn or through the company website. So I dare say we'll put that in the...
You might as well read it out now.
Oh yeah, it's Filter Supplies WA. Sorry, it's filtersupplies.com.au.
Fantastic. And John, someone looking for an advisor, come and sort out their mess, or even they're looking at succession and say, look, things are running really well, we just don't want to mess them up. What's the best way of contacting you?
You can contact me on the email john@johnbroons.com, and the mobile is 0433 131 070.
John, Jeff, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I just want to thank our sponsors for today, and today's sponsor